AITA for leaving my boyfriend after finding out he was secretly paying his ex's rent while calling me a financial burden? I have been with my boyfriend Ethan for a little over 3 years. We've lived together for almost 2 of those years. Up until about 2 months ago, I genuinely thought this was the relationship I was going to spend the rest of my life in. Now I don't even know if I'm being manipulated or if I'm somehow the selfish one in this situation. For context, Ethan and I met through mutual friends. Ethan was charming, not in a flashy way, more in a safe way.
He remembered little details about me.
He listened when I talked. Our first year together was honestly amazing. He was affectionate, emotionally available, funny, patient, all the things I'd lacked in previous relationships. Financially, though, we were in very different positions. I make decent money. Not rich, but comfortable. I've always been careful with budgeting because I grew up poor. My mom raised me and my younger brother alone after my dad disappeared, and she drilled financial responsibility into my brain from childhood. Meanwhile, Ethan makes more than I do. When we first moved in together, we agreed to split things proportionally based on income. That was his idea, by the way.
He said,
"You shouldn't struggle just because I make more. We're a team." At the time, I thought that was mature and thoughtful. So for the first year living together, Ethan paid around 65% of rent. I paid 35%. We split groceries mostly evenly. I handled a lot of household management stuff. Honestly, it worked well. Or, at least I thought it did. Then last year things started changing slowly. At first it was little comments, like, "Sometimes I feel like I'm carrying us financially."
Or,
"It'd be nice if things were more equal." The weird thing was, I was contributing. A lot. I cooked almost every night because Ethan didn't know how. I cleaned. I managed bills. I handled scheduling. I bought gifts for his family from both of us. I decorated the apartment. But suddenly he started acting like I was some kind of financial burden. At first I tried being understanding. Then he suggested we move to a strict 50-50 split. Now here's where things get important. The apartment we live in was his choice. I originally wanted a smaller place because I knew luxury apartments are expensive and I didn't want to overextend myself financially. But Ethan insisted. He literally said, "If we're building a life together, we should live somewhere we actually enjoy." So when he suddenly started pushing for 50-50, I was confused. I explained that I could technically afford it, but it would leave me with almost no savings every month. Meanwhile, he'd still be comfortable. He got weirdly defensive. He started talking about fairness. And this became a recurring argument for months. Every time bills came up, he'd make passive-aggressive comments. "Must be nice paying less. Relationships should be equal partnerships." Meanwhile, I was still doing basically all the invisible labor in our relationship. I even asked him once, "If we're going fully 50-50 financially, are we splitting household responsibilities equally too?" And he laughed, then said, "You're better at that stuff than me." That answer sat badly with me for weeks. But I still loved him, so I kept trying to compromise. Then came the situation that changed everything. Ethan started acting strange, protective over his phone, taking calls in other rooms, random mood swings, suddenly staying late at work constantly. I noticed because he'd never been secretive before. I asked him directly if something was wrong. He said work stress. Then one night we were out with friends, and his phone kept buzzing nonstop on the table. He snatched it up so fast it actually startled me. One of our friends jokingly said, "Wow, who are you trying to hide from?" And Ethan got visibly irritated. That was honestly the first moment my stomach dropped, because guilty people react like that. Still, I tried not to jump to conclusions. I've been cheated on before, and I know insecurity can make you paranoid. Then things got worse. He started becoming weirdly critical of me. Suddenly, I spent too much. I wasn't financially ambitious. I ordered takeout too often. One night we got into a huge fight because he said I wasn't taking our future seriously enough financially.
And I snapped.
I said, "What future? You keep acting like I'm draining your bank account." He responded, "Well, maybe if things were actually equal, I wouldn't feel resentment building." I remember just staring at him. Then came the discovery. About 6 weeks ago, Ethan left his laptop open while showering. His banking app was already open. And right there on the screen, I saw recurring payments. At first, I didn't even process it. Then I saw the name attached to the transfers. Samantha. Samantha is his ex. Not just any ex either. The ex. The one he dated for 6 years before me. The one he claimed destroyed him emotionally. The one he described as manipulative and selfish. The one he said drained him financially. The same ex he swore he barely spoke to anymore. Then I found monthly transfers. Large ones. Every single month. Going back nearly 8 months. I felt physically nauseous. Then I saw the memo on one transfer. Rent plus utilities. I didn't even know what to think. I just sat there staring at the screen trying to rationalize it. Maybe he was helping temporarily? Maybe there was some explanation? But deep down, I already knew. When Ethan came out of the shower, I asked him directly. I said, "Why are you paying Samantha's rent?" And I have never seen someone's face change that fast. He slammed the laptop shut and said, "Why are you going through my banking information?"
I said,
I wasn't snooping. "Why are you paying your ex over $1,000 a month while telling me we need to split bills equally?" And this man actually had the audacity to say, "It's complicated." I laughed. Not because it was funny, because I genuinely couldn't process what I was hearing. Then came the explanation. Apparently Samantha fell on hard times last year after losing her job. Apparently, she had nowhere else to go. Apparently her family isn't supportive. Apparently Ethan felt responsible because he'd promised to always care about her. I just stared at him. "Because what?" I asked. "How long were you planning on hiding this from me?" And he said, "I knew you'd overreact." Overreact? I asked if they were still involved romantically.
He swore no.
He claimed he was just helping her survive. Then I asked the obvious question. If you can afford to pay your ex's rent every month, why have you been pressuring me about money nonstop? And he got angry again. He said, "Because we live together. You should contribute equally." I honestly think that sentence broke something in me, because suddenly I realized this wasn't about fairness. This man was trying to redistribute his financial responsibilities onto me so he could continue financially supporting another woman. And before anyone asks, yes, I asked whether Samantha knew about me. Apparently yes, which somehow made me feel even worse. Because imagine being the girlfriend unknowingly helping subsidize your boyfriend supporting his ex. I was furious. I asked if any of our friends knew. Silence. Which meant yes. Turns out at least 2 of his friends knew he was helping her financially. I ended up leaving the apartment that night and staying with my best friend. Ethan blew up my phone nonstop. At first apologizing, then defending himself, then accusing me of abandoning him during a stressful time. He kept insisting, "You're making this into something it's not. But how else am I supposed to interpret this?" And here's the thing making me question myself now. A few of our mutual friends think I'm being too harsh. Not about hiding it, they agree he shouldn't have lied. But about the money itself. One friend said, if he has the money and wanted to help someone he cared about, that doesn't automatically mean he's cheating. Another said, you're acting like men and women can't care about exes platonically. Even Ethan's sister called me and said, Samantha was a huge part of his life for years. But I honestly don't think I'd even care this much if he hadn't spent months making me feel like a financial burden, all while secretly sending over $1,000 a month to another woman. Now Ethan's saying I'm being controlling and selfish because I lack empathy. He says I'm punishing him for helping someone in need. But if that's true, why hide it? Why suddenly become obsessed with making me pay more? Why all the secrecy? At this point, I genuinely don't know whether I'm justified or whether my past experiences with cheating are clouding my judgment. So, AITA for leaving my boyfriend after finding out he was secretly paying his ex's rent while calling me a financial burden? Update. First of all, I genuinely didn't expect my original post to get so much attention. I posted because I honestly felt overwhelmed and needed outside perspectives. Instead, I got so many comments and messages telling me I was not crazy. A lot of people in the comments pointed something out that hit me really hard. This wasn't actually about him helping his ex. It was about deception. Because if Ethan truly believed what he was doing was innocent, compassionate, and morally okay, then why hide it? The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I stayed with my best friend, Maya, after leaving the apartment, and thank God for that woman honestly. Maya and I have been friends since college. She's one of those people who doesn't sugarcoat things. The first night I stayed over, I barely slept. I just kept replaying everything in my head. At around 3 a.m., I